Welcome to PROFITIZE training video. In this video, you will learn how to enter and PROFITIZE when an accounts receivable is settled, meaning you receive a payment from your customer to settle a trade credit you had previously offered to the customer. Click on the Reminder tab to identify the transaction for which you received the payment from your customer. Click on Accounts Receivables button if it is not already highlighted. Click on the Filters button to open the filter menu. In the filter menu, click on the Due button to review the list view for accounts receivables that are due, to find the transaction for which you received the payment from your customer. If you don't find the transaction in the Due list view, then click on the Overdue button in the filter menu to review the list view for accounts receivables that are overdue, to find the transaction for which you received the payment from your customer. Use the scroll bar on the right side to navigate through the list view of due and overdue transactions until you find the transaction for which you received the payment from your customer. When you find the transaction for which you received the payment from your customer, note its transaction ID. Click on the copy icon displayed below the transaction ID. You will need to paste this transaction ID later. Now that you have found the transaction and copied its transaction ID, you will need to enter and PROFITIZE the payment you received from your customer to settle this transaction ID. Click on the Back button. Click on the Transactions tab. Click on the Add Transaction button. To answer the category question, Transaction Type, click on the Show More button. To respond to, select the button below, click on the Paid or Received Money button. To respond to, select the button below, click on the Received Money button. To respond to, select the button below, click on the Settle Trade Credit button. Now that you have successfully answered all category questions regarding the transaction related to the settlement of accounts receivable, you will need to start entering other details of your transaction in the input fields. Note that input fields with asterisks are required fields, where you must enter data. Required input fields are followed by optional input fields, where you should enter as much data as possible. Enter amount you received, select date you received, and click on Next button. Click on the Matching Transaction ID field, and paste the transaction ID you had copied earlier. This is very important. Without this transaction ID, PROFITIZE will not be able to match the payment you received from your customer to the original transaction that created the accounts receivable. Paste the copied transaction ID into the Matching Transaction ID field. Click on the Customer Business Name field to start entering the business name or select from the searchable drop-down list shown on the next screen. This is the searchable drop-down list for Customer Business Name field. In this video, you learned how to enter and PROFITIZE when an accounts receivable is settled, meaning you receive a payment from your customer to settle a trade credit you had previously offered to the customer. For more training videos, visit PROFITIZE YouTube channel.